Hi guys, this is Miss Mathews here. How are you guys doing? Alright, so how many ounces of strawberries were picked? Right, recap. Lesson 27, session 4. I can use line plots to show data. So what we need to do, we need to figure out what is the weight of each of these x's and we need to add them. So I want you to try to figure that out as best as you can, right? And my strategy would be, so each one of these, it's in ounces. This is 0, this is 1 ounce, 1/8 of an ounce, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8. And remember, 2/8 is also a quarter of an ounce, and 4/8 is also the same as a half of an ounce, and 6/8 is the same as 3/4 of an ounce. Okay, so we would go ahead and do 2/8 times 1, right? 3/8 times, how many do I have? 3, and 4/8 times 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4 times 5/8, and 3 times 6/8, and 7/8, 2, and then we have 1, right? 1 times 1 is 1. So we multiply all of those and then we add it, all right? And you should get 10 and 7/8 of an ounce. Okay, let's go to the next one. Let's look at this example. The line plot shows the weights of the burgers Matt made for a cookout. How many pounds of meat did she use, Mel made for a cookout, how many pounds did she use to make all the burgers? All right, so we need to add. So let's look at this example. Look at how you could use the data in the line plot. So we have 1, I wonder if we could get that to be a little bit more focused. So this is 1/8 of a burger, which is just 1/8 because it's one burger. And maybe I can read from here because I can see it better. 4 half-pound burgers. And how many of half-pound burgers do we have? 4. So we do 4 times 1, which is very similar to the example that I showed you before. And this one is 5 half-pounds. So in the half-pound, 1, 2, 3. How many half-pound burgers do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. We did that one already, 4 times a half. And then we have 1/4 pound. That's what that is, a 1/4 pound. And how many doughs that we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right there. 5 times a half. A quarter, sorry, it's hard for me to see it on the screen. And then the last one is 2 3/4 pounds. So how many 3/4 pounds burgers that we have? 2. So multiply them and then add the totals, and then we should get 4 and 7/8, right? Of a pound. So do you understand what we did here? This goes from 0 to 1. We count how many spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we know each one of these is 8s, right? 1/8, okay, etc. See, the first one is 1/8. 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, right? 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, 8/8. And then you just multiply and add all the way down. All right, let's look at the other one. So we're going to use the line plot in that example. Mel cuts the smallest burger in half. What was the smallest burger? Yeah, the smallest burger was 1/8 of a pound. So if we cut the smallest burger in half, right, 1/8, we cut it in half, we are essentially 1/8 divided by what? 2, right? So if we divide 1/8 divided by 2, what do we do? 1/8 multiplied by a half. So then we'll get 1/16 pound. Okay? All right, let's move on to the next one. Number 2, an animal doctor's scale weighs animals to the nearest of 1/4 of a pound. The list below shows the weights in pound of the last 10 dogs the animal doctor saw. Create a line plot to show the data. Okay, so let's create this line plot. First, I'm going to look at my data set. So I start from 14, so that's where I'm going to start from. And then I go to 17 and a half, so which means I'm just going to go to 18, right? And it's in halves and quarters, so between 15, 16, 17, I'm going to go in quarters. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so which means for each one of those is going to be a quarter. So 14 and a half is going to be here, so that's one dog, right? 17 and a half is going to be here, that's another dog. 15 and a quarter is going to be here. 17 and a quarter is going to be here. And 17 and a half is going to be here. 15 and a quarter here. 14 and a quarter here. 16 and then 14 and 3/4, so 14 and 3/4. Remember, each one of these is a quarter, right? And 2/4 is also equals to a half. Okay, 14 and 3/4. Did I do that one already? Yeah. Okay, and 15 and a quarter. All right. So I think that looks about right. Yep. Okay, so that's our line plot. Let's look at the other one and see what it's asking us to do. So we're looking at this line plot for problem 2. Which statement about the data is true, right? The heaviest dog is 4 1/4 pounds. I don't think so. Heaviest, 4 1/4 pounds heavier than the lightest dog? Let's see. So the heaviest dog is 17 and a half pounds, and the lightest dog is 14 1/4 pounds. Okay, what do you think you get from there? 17 minus 14 is 3 1/2 minus 1/4 is 1/4. So the first one is not correct. Let's look at the second one. The three lightest dogs weigh 43 1/2 pounds combined. So let's look at the three lightest dogs. So this one is 14 1/4 plus 14 1/2 plus 14 3/4. And how much do we think that is? Let's add that up. Yep, 14 plus 14 plus 14, and then half plus 1/4 is 3/4, plus another 3/4 is 1 1/2. So that is going to give us 43 1/2 pounds. So we know the correct answer is B. Okay. Right, let's look at next question 4. Right. One drives a race car. The race tracks vary in length. To prepare for racing, the records in lengths and miles of the traces of the tracks. In the list shown below, which line plot correctly show the track data? Okay, so after you look at all the track data, the smallest number, it seems like it's going to be 1/4 is the smallest number. So let's look and see which one of these tracks start from 1/4. Okay, they all start from 1/4. And which one has 2 1/4s, because we have 1/4 here and here. So it can be this one, or this one. So we know it's not that one. So let's cross that off. And let's look at our next data plot. All right. We have, how many halves do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 halves. So let's see. Which ones do we have 4 halves? And which ones do we have 3/8? Let's see, which ones do we have 3/8 and all of the halves? 2, 3, 4, 5 halves. So our answer is this one, because we have 3/8 and we have 1/3 here, half, and I can't see very well up there, so I'm gonna look down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 halves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, those are incorrect. So this one has the correct data sets plotted. All right, let's look at number 5. Okay, so look at the data for problem 4 and choose true or false for each statement. Let's see, the longest track is 6 times the length of the shortest one. False. The combined length of the 3 shortest track is 4/8 of a mile. False. And how do we know those? So the longest track is 6 times the length of the shortest track. So we need to add up all the shortest ones, right? The length of the shortest track. So what is the shortest track? A quarter. And 6 times of a quarter, right? If it's equal to the longest track, which is 7/8. So that's false. The combined length of 3 shortest tracks is 4/8. So the 3 shortest tracks are what? 1/4. False. The combined length of the 3 longest tracks is 3/8 of a mile. This one is true, and half the length of the shortest track is 1/8 of a mile. And that is also true. Okay. And number 6. All right, so Sarah owns Sarah's Hardware. She made a line plot to compare the fuel tank capacity of several lawnmowers. All right, now let's see what it's asking us. What is the most common capacity of the mowers she sells? Common. Looks like it's this one. And let's see, how do we know how many it should be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8. So we know it's 1 and 5/8. Part B. Mark buys a lawnmower with the smallest tank capacity, which is this guy. He uses 3 full tanks of gas mowing in the summer. How much fuel does he use? So his mower is 1.5, and he uses 3 full tanks, so we multiply that by 3. We're gonna get 1, 2 is 2, 1 is 3 over 2 multiplied by 3, 9 over 2, and 2 into 9 is what? 3 2s are 6, 4 2s are 8, so it's 4.5. Okay, 4.5 gallons is how much he actually used. All right, and our last one for today. So Jordan looks at the line plots above. He says the difference between the most common capacity and the least common capacity is 1/4 of a gallon. Let's see if he's right. The difference, so we know this means subtract. We know that's what difference means between the most common capacity, and we already said it was 1 and 5/8, right? 1 and 5/8. And the least common capacity, which is 1.5, is 1/4 of a gallon. So should we subtract that? For us to subtract it, we want to make sure that 1/2 is the equivalent in for 8, so we know that's 4 over 8. So 1 minus 1 is 0, and 5/8 minus 4/8 is 1/8. But he said it's 1/4 of a gallon, so he's not correct, right? He says he knows the difference without subtracting. Explain Jordan's mistake. So what do we think Jordan did? All right, so he thinks the scale is 1/4, not 1/8, and I think that's what happened with him. All right, and that is the end of this session. So see you next time, guys.